Hello, this is Mark. Welcome.
Hey.
And today I'm having tea with my very good friend, Tom Cassidy. Hey, Tom, do you want to say hello, everybody?
Hey, yeah, I'm delighted to be with you today, Mark. I'm sure it's a little warmer where you are, but it ain't too bad in England today. It's not too bad. First few days of spring.
That's awesome. So, Tom, we were just talking before, and you said that, it's been, close to about 2 years now since we first got introduced with this experiment, and with the March Madness. You want to give everybody some updates about, what your progress is, everything?
Yeah, absolutely. So 2 years ago, I had this crazy idea, which was, I know, why don't I see how much of a mess I can create in the month of March? And I called it March Madness because I've been to the States a few times and I'd seen that college basketball thing. And I thought, I'm just going to send out some emails to a bunch of people on my list, some people who've bought my courses on Udemy and places like that, and just say, listen, hey, free sessions. Anything you like, talk about anything you like. Whoever wants one for the month of March only. And I got an overwhelming response. It was wonderful. I think I did something like 1,000 hours in total, or something great. No, it couldn't be 1,000 hours. It was a lot of hours, but it was maybe it was 100. It was a lot, and it was. I was really busy, but one of the things that happened was that I was inspired through talking to people like yourself, Mark, because what you were one of the early guys said, yeah, I'll have a go. Why not? Was to create a longitudinal program over. I decided, okay, start of April, so the end of March 2014. I thought, let's run a 13-year program into the principles of the 13 by 4, the one at a time sort of concept, and just see where we are in 13 years. And we're focusing on the stuff that I think most people have problems with, which is kind of how to get more of what they want out of life and less of what they don't want. And it's based on Wallace Wattles' principles from his wonderful book, The Science of Getting Rich. And it's not so much about getting rich, although getting rich isn't something people should shy away from, but it is much more about the principles of, universal success, reasonable wealth, as I called it, which is if you can get your wealth through a reasonable way, which is a way by which everyone is getting more, so through creating greater life for all, then it's probably the right kind of wealth to get. And we're 2 years into the program, and some of the breakthroughs that people have been having has been just insane. But it hasn't been for everybody. There's been a few people that just fell off the edge, but there's more people kind of joining. It's quite open. It's just a wonderful experience and a great experiment. There's something wonderful that scale. When you tell people you're running a 13-year experiment, they sort of look at you like, whoa, you must be some kind of mentalist. But those 13 years are going to happen anyway, right? Unless people die, in which case, fair enough. But those 13 years are going to happen. So why not do something which tracks over that period of time? Why not? So that's it.
So this whole 13 by 4, process is pretty revolutionary. Wouldn't you say that?
Yeah, it seems to work. I've really got to hand it to Ben Franklin, who 250 something years ago came up with it. My small contribution really is just customizing his idea and applying it to lots of different fields. And I, as people who probably know the background, Ben Franklin was a bit of a pain in the ass, really. And he was very bright, but he used to argue with people a lot. And he realized that, the only way he could work on his character traits was through focusing them one at a time and not getting overwhelmed. So he just chose 13 character traits and focused them on one at a time for a whole week, forgetting about the others. I mean, leaving them to their normal chance, not absolutely ignoring, oh, I must not think about this because this is not in my week. But, he wanted to conquer his tendencies to put people down. So humility was a character trait he wanted to develop. He wanted to be better organized. And he didn't really quite nail that one. He was still pretty disorganized. But he wanted to be more mindful of how much he ate and how much he drank. So temperance was a big one. Those kinds of things. And it seems to work incredibly well, Mark. I mean, what I'm finding is that that's the one thread in all the change that you've got in your work life or your family life or your children or your house or your car or whatever. It's just that thread that just keeps going. And it's just one thing. And because it's just one thing, it seems to be incredibly forgiving. Now, some people want to complicate it, and I'm one of those people that wants to complicate it, and I want to say, well, maybe I can focus on one thing for the body, and one thing for the mind, and one thing for the spirit. And so I've played around with that. But the bottom line is, if you want to get good at anything, if you try to focus on too much at the same time, you'll fail. You'll start off great. First few weeks be fantastic. But basically, unless you are a superstar and a real Olympic athlete, it's just going to be too much. Life has a way of kind of laughing at you when you create all your plans to join the gym around about January and buy a new exercise machine or whatever. As a way of just like, okay, let's see how it goes then. 3 weeks, 4 weeks later, where are you? You're usually not even exactly where you were. You're kind of where you were, but a little bit less optimistic about the ability to change in the future. Because that little voice in your head says, oh, yeah, okay, you could try again, but kind of remember what happened last time when you tried to get fit and it didn't work, or when you tried to lose weight and it didn't quite work, or when you decided to learn a new language, or, then 6 months later you weren't there. So, what's been your experience? Because this would be really interesting, because one of the things that people think is it's going to be a magic bullet. And they always think that it's going to be a magic bullet and it's always going to work and it's going to be perfect and it's going to be no real dedication or effort. But I find that for me, it's kind of up and down. It's the thread that holds together, but it's still up and down, right?
Well, I'm glad that you decided to go with a 13-year experiment, because my experience is that I had a lot of breakthroughs originally in my first year. Yeah. And my second year, I think that, like a lot of things, became autopilot, and the voice in my head or the script started taking things away and not letting me believe it was actually happening. But now I'm having some more breakthroughs that were just, were there, but I became more aware of them. So I'm very, excited about continuing this process.
Cool. Yeah, you said it exactly there. My best way of explaining it is probably that you will go up and down, but it's not up and down with a flat underlying trend. It's up and down with an upward underlying trend. So you're sort of, if I was drawing a graph, I'd go sort of up, down, up, and sometimes really down, but then up a bit more. And you sort of, the overall average, your rolling average is up. And when I say up, I mean up in terms of awareness. I don't necessarily mean up in terms of a prettier wife or a bigger dog. The point is, it's not in the external things, it's in the internal things. So when I say up, it's up in your awareness, it's up in your self-belief, it's up in how you see yourself and how you see your role in the universe. And that's I guess that's the exciting thing, that just general persistent upward trend, without really, let's be honest, without really too much effort. There's a little bit of effort. As I say to people, like, this is a minimum will system. It's not a zero will system. This is not going to do it for you. You still got to do the work, but the amount of willpower required to keep you on track is really pretty minimal. So yeah. So that's
it's just focusing on something each week. And a question I have for you is, what made you go with a 13-year experiment?
Well, that was just for synchronicity, really, because I was thinking there's a number of different convergences, but one of the things I like is nature. Big fan of nature. I'm part of it, so why not? And I like the way nature does numbers. Nature doesn't really tend to count in ones and twos and have a decimal system and things like that. Nature's way of growing is it builds on what's previously there and adds to it. So for example, there's a mathematical way of expressing this building on what's already there, and it's called the Fibonacci sequence. And it's got like number 1, 2, and then 1 and 2 is 3, and then 2 and 3 is 5, and then 3 and 5 is 8. So, and this is the way that plants tend to grow, and I guess cells grow and a bunch of different things. They build on what, so number 3, the next one in the sequence, builds on the one before it, number 2, adds together 2 and 3 to make 5. So number 5 builds on what was before it, number 3, 3 and 5 makes 8. And then you get to 8, the one before it was 5, 8 and 5 makes 13. So I was going to choose one of the numbers from the Fibonacci sequence just to see. And it just so happened that 13 was a really nice one because it's in the 13 by 4 as well. So I'm subconsciously reinforcing the importance of 13. But, you know, it could have been 12, could have been 10.
And 13 is looked at as an unlucky number as well, you know, so go figure.
Yeah, I know. One of my ambitions, sorry, Mark, one of my ambitions is to change our cultural perspective towards the number 13. I want the number 13 to assume, I mean, that's pretty ambitious if you want to change how a culture sees things. And I'm sure 13 unlucky for some, and then you've got the biblical references with the, you know, the 13, 12 disciples, but, you know, whatever, the unlucky one, and Jesus and the 12 disciples and Judas and all that stuff. But if you could change, I mean, as a result of something that is just persistently working really, really well, you think, okay, right, yeah, I could do something quite useful, and it'd be interesting to measure how useful it had been to a lot of people by working out whether it had permeated right into culture. And if you start people thinking, well, 13 is a cool number because of the 13 by 4, you know, there's 13 weeks in a quarter, so, you know, 13 times 4 is 52, 4 quarters. So a season already has 13 weeks. So there's something basically very natural about the number 13 anyway. Much more natural than number 10. Number 10's got nothing. Nature's got nothing to do with number 10. It doesn't care about number 10. I mean, we only went for number 10 because it kind of was convenient for us with 10 digits, you know, on our fingers. But, you know, anyway, that's an ambition to change the way we see the number 13. Maybe it's a bit much, but who knows?
Well, that's a great ambition to have, you know, and I like the whole concept because, you know, it is a very simple system, just focusing on something each week, and then, you know, it becomes a part of you. And, you know, we talked about this inner voice, you know, the script.
Yeah.
You want to do some more elaboration about the script in the 13 by 4?
Yeah, definitely. There's only one thing that's going to prevent people from getting what they want out of life, and that's the relationship that they have with themselves. And, you know, because ultimately we all want the same thing. What you want, Mark, what I want, what my children want, whatever. We want one thing, and it's the same. We want to feel good. That's all we want. Now, we have these ideas that we will get to feel good as a result of having stuff or achieving things, having a good job or having a big house or getting a nice relationship going, or even being happy will make us feel good, right? The ultimate is that we want to feel good because we are emotional, we're spiritual beings, we have a level of feeling, and we all know that the greatest experiences in our life are ones where we felt the deepest, right? And it might be that we felt really terrible and we got through it, or it might be that we felt amazing and we just thought, wow, that's great. But those are the greatest experiences. So we know that. Intuitively, we know that. And it might be, oh, no, I want a great job because it's good to have a great job. It's nothing to do with how I will feel about that. And you go, yeah, you're baloney. You know, you only want to have a great job and change the world and do all those sorts of things because it'll actually make you feel good. The end result of every single intention comes with, because I think I'll feel good if I do that. So then we realize that actually the only thing that's going to prevent us feeling good is the script or the little voice in our head which says you can't feel good until you've got X, Y, and Z. It says, it goes with you. Oh, yeah. The most important thing in life is to feel good. Absolutely. Yeah, I'm with you there, Tom, on that one. Yeah, okay. But you can't really feel good until you've got this together, until you've got a slightly bigger desk or a better behaved puppy, or a bigger house, or a new job, or you've got a better balance in your life, all those sorts of things. So what it does is it just keeps moving things away. I'm always reminded of that little comedy character type thing where the guy, he's playing soccer, something like that, and he goes down to catch the ball's on the ground. As he reaches down to get it, his foot running forward like kicks it away, so he can't get it. You know, he's trying to get there, and the script will just always put it just slightly out of your reach. Now, Mark, you, anyone listening, me right now, the same feelings that we will have that when we achieve these wonderful things, that the script is saying, well, when you get that new job, then you can feel amazing. When you get that new partner, when you get the bigger house, you can feel good then. The same script that's saying those. it's not really allowing us to realize that. But when we get those feelings will come from the inside. They'll come internally. So, and those feelings exist right now. They're a result of chemical processes that result from our thought processes. So actually, we could feel right now as good as we will ever feel for the rest of our lives. You know, I could finish this conversation with you now, and there is nothing biological that could prevent me from feeling as great as I will ever feel. Right? And then, right? I mean, why not? And then your script, or you will imagine your brother-in-law or some jerk that used to be at school would say, that's baloney, that's ridiculous. You can't feel good when you've got all these things going on in your life, or if you haven't done those things. Well, then I say to people, well, okay, would you choose to see it like that? What would you choose? Would you choose that you couldn't access those internal feelings? I mean, no one disagrees with me when I tell them where the feelings are coming from. They all go, well, of course, yeah. Because then I explain and I tell the stories about, well, okay, I could have this pen, right? Now, if I was living in, I don't know, Burkina Faso or something like that, and everyone else in the village had a pencil and I had a pen, I'm the big dog, right? This is amazing. I would feel amazing if I had that pen, right? Now, if I had to write a report and I needed to write that report in black pen, and all I had was this pen and it's pink, and it's important, real important deadline, and I looked at this pen, it's the only one I've got, and it's a pink pen, and this is, damn it, why have I only got this pen, right? Everyone knows that. When you expect, they say, oh, of course. Logically, everyone gets that the feelings don't come from the object itself, the pen. The feelings come from the perspective, the relationship that we have, what this object means to us. And they realize when you replay that example, oh, of course, that same pen can evoke different feelings, therefore the feelings can't be attached. There is a betweenness between the human and the pen. So the feelings come from the relationship, come from that betweenness, come from the inside. They don't come from the pen. Everyone gets that. And they understand perfectly. That's not a problem. But what they'll then do is that they won't really believe that it's okay for them to just feel those things, because they think that's somehow cheating. They think, well, yeah, but maybe I wouldn't really want to do those things. The little voice in their head is a script. So would you choose? This is the question you just asked people. Okay, would you choose that you had to have the stuff in order to feel that? You know that it's a betweenness. You know that it's all about you and the feelings come. Would you choose that you had to have all those things in place? No, you wouldn't. Right, okay. Are you sure? Well, some people say, well, maybe I would choose that I couldn't feel good for now until I got those things, because then maybe I'd work harder. Okay. Would you choose that you had to feel bad in order to be able to work harder? No. So you just keep asking, well, what would you choose? Would you choose that? And so this whole idea of the script is just very, very simple. If you would choose it, if it is helpful to believe something, then it's genuinely you. It's your intuition. If you wouldn't choose it, if it's not actually helpful, if it doesn't make you feel good, if it's not likely to give you a better outcome, and it's not logical, well, no, of course, I would never choose that, then you know it's the script. And that's all. It's not real. This is just a metaphor. This is a metaphor to help people. And I say, listen, I'm not telling the truth. Well, I'm not interested in the paradigm, the truth. I'm interested in the paradigm of being helpful. So I say, is it helpful for you to understand this metaphor of a script? And most people find it spectacularly helpful. This idea that all we train them to do is just notice, okay, that thought going through your head, that thought where you think, oh, feeling a bit low, this isn't going to come off, this job placement I'm doing, this book that I'm writing, this interview I've got, it's just not going to work out. Oh, whoa. You just notice that and say, hey, like I said, would I choose that? And you say, well, no, I don't think I would choose it. Great. Now, the huge difference between the metaphor of the script and, well, our understanding of the script compared to perhaps just about everything else out there with regards to personal development is that's it. That's the end of the road. You don't have to do anything else. You say, oh, yeah, and then, yeah, and I notice it, and then I can change it. No. You can if you want to, absolutely. But the only objective of this approach, and it's something that I spent a lot of time with my personal mentor, Richard Wilkins, on, is no, resist the temptation to change, just notice. Because if you say, oh, no, and I need to replace that, what that does is that creates a pressure, and then it all, only your script itself would make it bad to actually be having these thoughts, because they're totally natural thoughts. Noticing them is, oh, okay, well, it's not helpful, great. Now, if you're trying to change, you create a lot of pressure and you use up a lot of energy, because you've got the script saying one thing, you go, oh, I know I shouldn't be thinking that. I spoke to Tom before I read these books. I thought, oh, I know that's not helpful, so I know I shouldn't be thinking it. And then you use up all this huge amount of energy in trying to fight it. Whereas if your only job is to notice it and just say, like an avatar, I see you, I see you, I see you there. Right. Not helpful, not helpful. But I don't have to change. And all you've done is you've saved all that energy that you would have given up to fighting it and saying, well, you know, it's not helpful, but oh gosh, you don't feel good. Oh, but you know, but what if you don't get this interview? What if you don't get this placement? Oh yeah, but you know, that's not helpful. All that internal civil war energy is now saved for you to do great stuff. And that's kind of, I mean, there's a tiny bit more to it, but basically this idea of the script is just so unbelievably powerful whenever you're trying to do something which is new, whenever you're trying to change, because let's be honest, we're either changing or we're dead, because every single day we're going to change a little bit. I didn't wake up with the same molecules as I went to bed yesterday. I breathed in some, I exhaled another, another billion or whatever. So the point is, we are in constant change all the time. And whenever we're trying to change, having that awareness that, oh, well, what would my script be saying right now if I was trying to just finish up my book? Right. If I was just trying to finish my program on recovery, my script would be saying things like, oh, you're nearly there, but you're not quite. You just revise it a bit more. You just, just do a little bit more. Okay. Yeah. Ooh. And then it'll say things like, okay, maybe it's taking too long. You've been working on this quite a long time, all those sorts of things. So if you notice what your script might be saying, you can catch it out a little bit early and say, oh yeah, my script would be saying that. So when I hear that, that's my script. Then just save all the energy for just writing a book or finishing it. So that's a kind of a long answer, but it's good stuff.
Tom, you definitely nailed everything that I've been asking or anything like that. And what's next for Tom Cassidy? What's on the horizon? What can people look forward to?
Okay, great stuff. Well, the big thing for me over the next probably 6 months or so is to give people a way in which they can actually take these ideas and get them out to a wider community. I've been working on this for a little while, and I've been hinting at it. This is the thing. Something as powerful and as valuable as this and as universal as this needs to be shared more. And it's my duty and my job to use my smart, I'm not dumb, you're a smart guy as well, but to use the smart powers of the people in the network at the moment to come up with a way in which people can actually achieve some component of income from being able to share this stuff. Brian, one of the guys in the group, and Sam are working pretty hard on this as well. And we're not rushing, because the script will say, oh, you said that you're going to do something. Well, I am going to do something. I've got a few things that I'm cooking up at the moment. But the bottom line is, if more people rather than fewer people understood these ideas, the world would be a better place, and much more easily, because it's such a simple idea. So if we can get these into the workplace, I've got a meeting on Tuesday with a guy in the UK who's got a big company, and we've been talking for a little while. It's just what I want to do is I want to change the language of which people see themselves and move much towards an identity-based workplace and identity-based living. And the only real way to get people to properly raise their awareness is for them to notice. So if we can get them to notice, then they have a chance. If we can't get them to notice, it's like if they're unconscious and they're not able to notice, then there's nowhere to go. But if you can just get people to notice, and then you say, okay, so what's the next thing is, what are you putting in? What are you putting out there to the universe? What energy are you putting into this relationship, into this this partnership with a colleague or this team? Are you putting in awesome? We talk about the sausage machine and all that great stuff, but I would like to be in a position where by the end of this year we had 100 agents going out to universities, to schools, to workplaces, and saying, look, we've kind of got something here, and it's a way of implementing the 13 by 4 program in a totally customizable way. I go into a company and I say, okay, tell me what you'd like to achieve over the next year. And they'll say, well, we'd kind of really like to do this. And then I say, okay, well, what characteristics do you think your people need to get better at over the next 12 months to make this happen? And they'll say, well, we'd want them to be better listeners. We'd want them to be a little bit better at maybe take more initiative. I say, okay, are you sure about that? Are you completely sure? I say, I mean, because we could always just have a workshop and get everyone to pull these, you know, these characteristics out of a workshop. Is that, well, we've got an idea. Okay, great. Well, let's park that idea. Let's run a workshop. Let's try and tease out what we think is an organization we all need to get better at in order to achieve these company goals. It's great to make the vision happen. And then once we've distilled them down to 13 characteristics, 12 really, because the 13th one is always awareness and reviewing the whole thing. We'll bosh them into a 13 by 4 and we'll track them through it, and it'll be a kind of, I genuinely believe it's the future of organizational learning and development. And there's no rush at all, but at some point, by the end of the 13 years, and it'll be a lot sooner than that, by the end of the 13 years, this thing is going to be endemic. It's going to be throughout organizations in America, throughout organizations of the rest of the world. I've implemented it in a lot of schools because education is my thing. To, you know, not always to tremendous success. You know, there's some schools that really love the idea, other schools that, you know, even something as simple as this, they're too overwhelmed even to really look at it. But there's now 160,000 people from all over the world, either through the Udemy system or other online blogs, online course providers, that sort of thing, who are using the principles of the 13 by 4 that I know of. And there could be lots more who, and I get emails all the time saying from people say, you know what, Tom, yeah, thanks for popularizing this, not for creating it, for popularizing it, because this is the one reason why people are doing business with me, because they love the way I actually approach their business problems, and with this principle, this underlying continuous development framework. And that's all it is. It's a continuous development framework, and I believe it's the only way to get permanent change for everybody in an organization. So that's kind of the target. 100 agents doing this at some point by the end of this. When I say this year, I mean this next year 3. By the end of, so in about, but within 12 months. That's the plan. Making a living out of it, sharing it. If something's good, right, it needs to be shared. And if something is good, then it's going to benefit people. So people need to share in the benefits of that. And one of the benefits is money, because you're saving organizations money. You're saving them turnover. You're saving them employee disengagement, all those great things. So Brian's working pretty hard on this, testing it. Sam as well. We're all working on it. None of us is making it our main focus to the detriment of all other things that we're doing. And the thinking behind that is like the pyramids, right? They've been around 4,000 or 5,000 years, maybe, you know, depending on how you count. There's different ones, but they didn't get built in a couple of years. It took a while. Right, you know, and anything that's going to last a very long time is probably going to take some time to build. You can knock up something like the way they build in Sweden, you know, for only a couple of £1 million. You can put up a thing, but it's designed to last for 30 years. I absolutely, this might sound like hubris, this might sound ridiculous, but I guarantee that as a result of the people who've implemented these things now, and the people that they're going to talk to, and the people that they're going to talk to are going to talk to, this principle, this business, what we've already created, this group of, well, there's not that many of us. Like there's fewer than 100 who are actually in this focused WhatsApp group. There's 200 and 300 or so in the reasonable wealth community. We're already in 50 years' time. I guarantee this, 50 years' time, we will have made more real valuable impact in people's lives than Facebook, you know, than Starbucks. I mean, Starbucks is great. It's selling coffee. It's a massive, it's selling coffee. Facebook, It's selling advertising, right? Okay, it's a way to communicate, but it doesn't give. It's not. It's bringing people together, but it's not actually inspiring. Is any of those things? You're not going to look back in 50 years' time, 100 years' time. Oh, wasn't Facebook awesome? Wasn't it great? Didn't it do a lot for humanity? But individuals with life-changing ideas, like what's going to come out of the stuff that you've done, you know, it's too good. I have to pinch myself sometimes.
It's brilliant, you know. It's definitely brilliant, you know. So, how do people find you, or how could someone get a hold of you if they want to contact you?
Okay, probably the easiest way to get in touch with me is if you just Google Tom Cassidy, you should be able to find me, my stuff on Udemy, my LinkedIn. You contact me. I have my email address. I've got tomcassidy@mac.com, TomCassidy@mac.com. I'm open. I respond to everybody. I mean, I've got thousands of people. But you know, what's really weird? It's very strange. But even though there's people, very few people reach out directly to me. I mean, it's a handful. People do, but people kind of think, oh well, Tom, he won't have the time. You know, I do. I have the time. I make the time. So if people have any questions or anything, obviously they can buy my courses, the paid ones. They can sign up for my free ones. They can join the Pay What You Want community, Reasonable Wealth, where they can pay $0 a month if they want to. Or they can pay anything up to, I think, you know, some people pay $100 a month. I mean, I don't stop people. If someone wants to pay $500 a month, that's absolutely fine. But the point is, it's got to be something that's really comfortable with you. And I explain this kind of pay what you want thing. It has to be so you feel like you're getting it at the point where you think, if I pay this amount, for me, it's kind of makes me feel good because I know that that's enough for it to carry on going and enough for me to get benefit out of it. And for some people, you know, I tell people to use the Cassidy Coffee Index, which is you work out how much a cup of coffee in your own country costs, compare it with US dollars. So it might be that a cup of coffee on average, you know, it's like $4 in San Francisco, and it might be 20 cents in Libya, Tripoli, or something like that. And then you say, well, roughly, how much do you think being plugged into a mastermind group with Tom's input on a weekly basis would be worth? And you might think it's worth 5 cups of coffee a month. It might be worth 1 cup of coffee a week or something. So if your cup of coffee is worth 20 cents in Tripoli, and you think it's worth maybe 5 cups of coffee a month, then it's kind of $1. So that's what you should pay. You should pay $1 a month. Whereas you might be, you know, we got lawyers in the States who, you know, probably even when they're paying, say, $100 a month, they're getting a much better deal relatively. You know, so I think it's unfair of an individual to charge the same amount because everyone's got different circumstances. If you're a student working hard to study in, you know, a third world country, why should you be paying as much as some guy who's just kind of made a huge amount of money doing law? And we all want the same value out of things, but I think it seems to me, pay what you want seems to be a much fairer way of doing things. But, you know, admittedly, I don't need, I've got income from, I would say all other sources, you know, I still work, I'm running a school at the moment, an international school in Cambridge. I do a number of different things, you know, I sell a lot of courses as well. But for me, the single thing that's changed my life more than anything is the last 2 years has been this distributed coaching model that we run through WhatsApp. It's just been amazing. I love it. So, yeah, that's it.
It's totally awesome, Tom, and I really do appreciate having you on. It's been quite a while. You want to say goodbye to everybody?
Yeah, Mark, my pleasure. It's just what you're doing is so good. Just your manner, your style is just, you make people feel so welcome and so comfortable. And you just keep doing what you're doing, buddy. Change the world one cup of tea at a time. And hey, everybody, thanks very much for watching. And see you somewhere. All right, take care.